Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we're checking out a King Kong vs. Godzilla collection. And I've got some new mystery ones that we will reveal in a little bit. First, let's check out this giant King Kong figure. I believe this figure is the Monsterverse giant King Kong figure. And it is very poseable. You can swing the torso for punches. It's got a giant axe and its eyes light up too. Next, I'm gonna grab this gold Godzilla figure right over here. This looks like a figure modeled from one of the newer movies, and it is very reflective with this really cool gold coloring with the black underneath. And this figure has posable arms, legs, and a tail too. Next up, we've got another giant King Kong figure. This one does not have an axe, at least currently, but you can see that it can hold an axe. It's also got the battle damage scars right on its chest, and it has posable arms, legs, even the ankles, and of course the head can move back and forth. Let's grab this giant Mechagodzilla figure next. This is one of my favorite Godzilla figures. I believe this figure is also from the Monsterverse toy line, and it stands probably around a foot tall. But even though it's so big, it still has quite a bit of detail all over its body. It really looks quite robotic. You can open and close the claws, you can move the legs and twist the feet and move the tail. You can see that it's got some type of jetpack or rockets on its shoulders right there. And best of all, it's got a really mean looking face. Those things even look like teeth right there. How cool. Back over to the King Kong figures is this medium-sized Kong figure. It looks like this figure can also hold an axe or weapon in its hand. It's also got the battle scar on its chest. It's got that fur texturing all over its body. This figure is pretty adjustable, although it's not battery operated, so it doesn't come with sound effects or anything. Right over here is the Godzilla Ultima figure. This figure is quite a bit smaller than the Mechagodzilla that we just saw, but it still has some pretty cool features. It's got really cool texturing all over its body. It makes it look like it is armored. Of course, it has the huge spikes coming out of its back, the 3 rows of them, and you can even adjust the arms and the legs too. Check out all those teeth. Next up is a smaller King Kong figure, but this one is super adjustable. And it's got some really cool glowing purple and blue on its shoulders, on its axe, and even a little bit on its chin too. This figure might be a little bit smaller than the others, but I really like how poseable it is. You can have it in any attack position that you want. Now let's check out these new ones that I just bought. That's pretty funny. It says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys, but it is definitely not that. These are Godzilla figures. Wow, and there is quite a lot in here. Let's open up this first one. All right, I think this might be a burning Godzilla figure, and it is pretty detailed for how small it is. You can see the red on its chest, on its knees. Of course, it's got the huge spikes on its back, and the red at the tip of the tail too. Next up, we've got a gold figure. Can you guess what it is? All right, it is a King Ghidorah figure. How crazy is that? And it is a very reflective gold color, which is really cool. It's got the 2-tipped tail and of course the 3 heads at the front. This is a super cool looking figure, although there are no moving parts. Let's see what we got next here. All right, this looks kind of like a Godzilla Ultima figure, but what do you think? You can see that armored texturing on its body. This figure has the gray spikes running down its back to its tail, and this figure has a much longer tail than many of the other figures. Let's keep going, let's see what this is. All right, here is a King Kong figure. This one is a tiny figure, but it still has the fur texturing and coloring all over its body. It's got some battle damage right on its chest, and it looks really angry and ready to fight Godzilla. All right, moving on to the next one. What could it be? This is a skull crawler figure. This monster first appeared in the Kong Skull Island movie, and it looks pretty scary. Plus, check this out. It's even got some battle damage type thing. You can take off of its back and reveal its bones underneath. All right, on to the next one. This figure, I believe, is the Gamera monster from Godzilla. It's got the super hard shell on its back. It's a dark green color, and the rest of its body is a black color. It's got some huge teeth in its mouth, too. Here's the next one. This is the Destroyer figure. Check out those crazy looking claws and a huge horn on the very top of its head. Plus, it has wings that you can actually unfold out to both sides of its body. That looks really cool when the wings are fully extended. Still got a few more in here. Here is a new Mechagodzilla figure. It has the classic all silver body with the robotic detailing all over, and of course, the giant red spine on its back. Up next, let's see what this is. Here is the Mecha King Ghidorah figure, and this is the first of its kind in my collection. It's got some super robotic looking wings, it's got silver and gold on its body. One of the heads has green eyes, and the other two have red eyes. And here's the last figure in this new bag. This is a classic Godzilla figure with the blue spikes running down its back. Now let's go for the next mystery bag. Let's see what it is. Ooh, all right. This is another classic Godzilla figure, and it's pretty similar in shape and size to many of my other Godzilla figures, but it is super bright. It's got reflective silver coloring all over its body. Look how shiny that is. And it's also got the bright reflective blue spikes running down its back all the way to its tail. And here is one more mystery bag. Let's see what's inside. This is another giant Godzilla figure. This one is really tall. This one has the dark blue fur coloring all over its body. It's got the battle damage on its chest. And you know what? I think this figure is actually very identical to this miniature version. Look at the color, look at the battle damage. They're almost identical. And of course you can move its arms for punching poses. Look at that. All right, moving back to our bin, we've got a burning Godzilla figure right here. This is a medium-sized figure, and you can see those fire markings all over its body on the front, and it's got those bright orange spikes on its back too. Now here's a different looking gorilla. This is George, and can you guess what movie it's from? It is from the Rampage movie. It is a gorilla with white hair all over its body, and it still looks really scary. Over here is another Mechagodzilla figure. This one is medium-sized. It's got the silver and the red spikes, of course, as well as some decent detailing all over its body to make it look very robotic. Here is a larger Godzilla figure. This one has the black body and the classic blue spikes on its back. And this figure features posable arms, legs, and tail too. Here is a really cool Godzilla figure. This one was definitely more expensive. This figure is super posable. You can bend basically all of its joints, even its torso and its neck. And it's got the dark green body with the bright green spikes running down its back. Up next for Kong, we've got this medium-sized figure. It has okay texturing and detailing. You can see that there's fur all over its body, and it has some different coloring throughout its arms and on its chest. Of course, it's got the battle damage slash on its chest, and this figure features posable arms and a twistable torso. Up next for the Godzilla figures is this medium-sized, purple-spined Godzilla figure. These spines seem to be a bit bigger than on many of the other figures, and it features posable arms, legs, and a tail too. Alright, we've got another burning Godzilla, one of my favorite forms of Godzilla. You can see the glowing red on its chest and in between its spines, as well as on the end of its tail. And this figure features posable tiny little arms, as well as the huge legs. For King Kong, we've got this model Kong figure, and this figure is pretty heavy and pretty sizable too. You can see that there's a little bit of battle damage on its chest, and I really love the texturing and detailing with the hair on this figure. Look at all the hair texturing on its arms. For Godzilla, we've got this smaller figure with the battle damage on its chest, and it features the translucent spikes on its back, and it has its head posed to the sky for its proton scream. For the King Kong figures, I've next got this figure with sound effects in it. It's got this button on its back that you can press to activate the sound effects and move its mouth. Here is another Mechagodzilla figure, and I think this is the last one in this collection. And I think this actually might be my most posable Mechagodzilla figure. You can bend the legs, you can even bend the knees, and you can move the arms in all sorts of directions. And of course, you can move the tail around too. Next, for the Godzilla side, I have an Angurius figure. This monster is pretty crazy looking. It's got armor plating all over its body, and it's got these huge reverse spikes all over its back and right behind its head too. And this figure features posable front legs and back legs. I've got some more miniature Godzilla figures in here. This first one is a Godzilla figure with the huge purple spikes coming out of its back. I've also got a miniature burning Godzilla figure. You can see those orange colorings all over its body. And also a Space Godzilla figure. I think this is one of these few Space Godzillas that I have. Here are a few more superposable King Kong figures. This first one is the Arctic Kong, and you can see that he's got snow all over his body, on his arms, on its head, on his shoulders. And over here is a normal classic Kong figure. But of course it still has the battle damage slash right on its chest. Here are a few more miniature Godzilla figures. This one looks like a Godzilla Ultima figure. It's got the white spikes on its back and the huge legs. Here is another awesome burning Godzilla figure. It's got the glowing red on its chest and the red on its spikes and on its tail. And an even smaller Godzilla figure with, I think that's brown spikes on its back. And here are our last two Kong figures in this collection. This first figure is super posable. It's great for modeling and for posing it in whatever pose that you want. And there's also this weird looking King Kong figure, which is actually a stretchable figure. Look at that. And finally, we've got a Mothra figure from Godzilla. It's got some super bright coloring on its wings and some bright blue eyes.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm super excited to get started with you today. Today we are unboxing from my collection all of my King Kong and Godzilla figurines. Let's get started with this Mechagodzilla figure right here. This one's ginormous. With the tail, it might be 2 feet long in total. This is really cool. It's got the opening and closing claws in the front, movable arms, movable legs, the tail swivels, and the face is just awesome too. Look at that. Look at those eyes. That's so cool. Next up, we got this ginormous King Kong figure right here. The arms go up and down. Even the wrists are adjustable. His jaw opens and closes just a little bit. But one of the coolest features is it's got this swiveling action. So you can set him up like this, and if you want him to punch other figurines, wham, 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 wham. So this one is about a foot tall as well. So this is one of my largest King Kong and Godzilla figurines as well. All right, moving on to the ginormous Godzilla right over here. This is the biggest Godzilla figurine that I have in my collection, and look at it. Standing up, I'd say it's probably around a foot high, but look how big its body is, and then its tail. It might even go maybe 2 or 3 feet as well. I really like using this Godzilla figurine in our battles because it's so big and so scary looking. All right, moving on, we've got another King Kong figure right here. A little bit smaller than the last one, but check it out. You can see it's got some battle damage. It doesn't require any batteries or anything like that, so it doesn't make any noise, but this one's still pretty large as well. Look how big that is. All right, let's take a look at this blue Godzilla right here. It looks a little bit like a old school classic Godzilla, but look at this blue finish that it has all over. And the gold tipped claws right there too. Look at that face, got the red eyes. You can see the tongue and the teeth right there. And of course, the spikes on its back. And these ones, for this figure, are blue, like the rest of its body. This one is one of my favorite Godzilla figurines right here. Check out the coloring on this and like the flexibility with its tail. This one is super dynamic with how you can move it, and even with its face, check it out. But the reason that I like this one is because it's fire. Look at that. It's ferocious. It's got like the spikes, but they're like flaming spikes. So this one is really cool. One of my favorites. Next up is this figurine from the Godzilla series. And this is the Anguirus figurine from the Godzilla Final Wars collection. Look at all these spikes on its back, and interestingly, they're all kind of like facing forward. Do you see that? You've got the long tail here with the spikes at the end. And check out that face. That is a mean looking face, and it's got those horns on the top of its head also facing forward as well. That's very interesting. And here we've got a smaller King Kong figure. And this one does have sound effects in it. See this button in the back right here? Let's go ahead and press that and see what happens. It's making that snarling face. And it's got movable arms, movable legs, and all that. Which one should we pull out next? Let's try this Godzilla right here. Another large Godzilla action figure. This time, it's got the purple spikes on its back, the 3 ridges, the 3 lines going down its back, movable legs, movable arms, and even the tail swivels as well. This is a pretty lightweight figurine though. You can tell that it's hollow on the inside, and you can actually see that it's kind of squished. I'm not sure why that is, but it is hollow. We've got another large Godzilla figurine right here, very similar to the last purple one, but instead this figurine is blue. So it's got the blue spikes on its back, the 3 lines of spikes. The tail moves just like the other one, the legs and the arms. And look at that face. It's got those red eyes too. Oh my goodness, we have so many Godzilla figurines in here. Look at this other one. This is another one of those super adjustable figures. Look at how its tail moves, and its arms has a lot of points of articulation, and its legs. Check out that face right there. Now look at the painting on those spikes and even on the rest of its body. You can tell it's super textured. It looks very realistic, which I really like. Now look what we have here. Another Godzilla figurine. Oh, a Mechagodzilla. But it's like a miniature version. It's like a model. So it's got that huge head and the little body and tail. And none of the parts move on this one, so this is more of a collectible. But still looks very cool. I think I'll end up putting this one on my shelf. Alright, I see a gold one down here. I think this is another one of the big Godzilla figurines. Yeah, so this one's around the same size as the blue and purple one. But instead, as you can see, it is gold all over the body and on the spikes and the tail. Everywhere has that gold coloring on it. And it's like, see with the texture, it's like mixing with black, which is really cool. What's this one over here? Let's see. Oh, look at this. This is a King Kong figure. It's got the longer arms than what the other figures had. And its face is even meaner than the other figures we've seen so far. Look at that. Let's dig in here and pull out another Godzilla. This is another one of those Godzilla figurines that's like super detailed. Look at that blue, and there's like a little bit of white as the highlight. I just love these figures. You can even move its neck around so you can turn its head. You can move its arms. You can swivel them. All right, here it is. So I believe that this is the atomic breath attachment for this dinosaur. So what you can do is actually open its mouth and then fit it right in its mouth, and it'll stay there. So if you're doing like a stop motion video or taking pictures with him, it'll look like he's shooting the atomic breath out from him. Very neat. Next up, we've got this Godzilla figurine with a super long tail, and this one is from the 2016 Shin Godzilla movie. So let's see, we've got, it's like glowing red chest and that same glowing red along its back with the spikes. It's got a mean looking face, and then the glowing red at the end of the tail as well. Look how long that tail is. That's like longer than the body of Godzilla. Alright, let's see what else we've got. Oh, look at this one. So this is a Godzilla, but this is the third form Godzilla. So you can see you've got its legs starting to stick out there, and it's still got the spiked back, the 3 rows, and it's got a fully functional mouth and eyes, but the arms have not quite come through yet. And again, even with this one too, look at the length of that tail. That's probably longer than the length of the body. Very cool. And here we've got a smaller King Kong figure. And you can see on the chest, just like some of the other ones, it's got the battle damage, the 3 stripes from getting slashed by Godzilla or a dinosaur, and it swivels on its waist and its arms. And there's no batteries for this one either, so there's no sounds or lights or anything on this one. But it's still a cooler King Kong figure to have. It's about, I don't know, maybe 6 inches tall. All right, let's keep digging. Ooh, you know what? I see another Mechagodzilla figurine right here. It's about 6 inches tall, and it's got a lot going on. I believe these are rockets on its shoulders, and there's just like so much gear, it looks like, all over its body. And this does have a metallic shine on it as well, even though it's made of plastic. It looks fairly close to metal, and I believe this version of Mechagodzilla is from the 2002 movie called Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. But let me know in the comments below if you've seen this one in another movie too. Let's keep digging. Let's see what we find here. Oh, here is a very large King Kong figure. You can see some battle damage on its chest. It's got this chain wrapped around its hand. It doesn't move, but it's there all the time. You can move the arm up and down. And this one doesn't require batteries either, so there's no sound effects or lights, but it swivels, its arms moves up and down. And this one stands at about maybe a foot tall as well, so it's very comparable to some of the other King Kong figures that we have. And here is another King Kong figure, a bit smaller. Look at that, it's got this like white snow finish all over it. So I think this is the Arctic Kong figurine. You can tell that he's been working and fighting in the snow. This figure is a bit smaller than some of our other King Kong figures, but I must admit, I do like this one a bit more because it is so adjustable with its arms and legs. You can do almost any pose with this figure, which I think is super cool. All right, we've still got a lot more in here. Let's keep going. Ooh, check out this Gigan figurine from the Godzilla series. And this one is pretty colorful. You've probably noticed that with a lot of our Godzilla figurines, a lot of them are like darker colors. So I definitely appreciate that this figure from the Godzilla series has this bright red on the back. So this one really pops. Let's look at its face. It's got this massive horn on the top, and then even right next to its mouth on the sides, you can see it's got those horns there. So this one, I'm sure, would be very lethal to battle against. Look at those. And now we've got a smaller Godzilla figurine Very similar to the other ones we've had, but it's got the black body and then the very shiny blue spikes on its back. This one's jaw doesn't open and close, but the arms and legs are movable too. So this one's still pretty usable and versatile. And look here, we've got another similar Godzilla figurine, but look at the spikes on the back. In this one, they're like kind of see-through. You can see my finger on the other side, but there's still like a cool blue hue to them. And on this one, the jaw does open and shut as well. Look at that. See that? Look at that. Attention to detail right there. And the tail swivels too. Let's keep going. Next one is this Godzilla figurine here, which I believe is the second form Godzilla. So check it out. You can see its arms are starting to form on its side right there, but it's already got the spikes on the top. It's got the red in the front, and its mouth and head is pretty close to fully formed as well. So this is a pretty cool one to have in my collection. Let's see. Ooh, we've got another smaller King Kong figure right here. But unlike the other one that had the snow on the top, this one's got, I think that's the atomic breath coloring on its arms and a little bit on its side too. You can see a little bit of blue. Ooh, and a little bit of blue on its chin too. So just like the other smaller Kong figure that we saw, the arms and legs are very adjustable, which I really like. All right, here we've got another Godzilla figurine, and check out the fiery coloring on its chest, on its legs, and look at that on its spikes on its back. I like how it fades into the fiery orange color. Look at that mean look on his face. His head swivels back and forth, the arms are moving, the tail spins. And this is a medium-sized figure, I'd say. But I do love that fire coloring on its body. And here we've got a smaller Godzilla figurine. And once again, we've got the black body, but a different colored spikes. We've had blue, we've seen some, I think we had some red ones and some orange ones. This one is purple, check that out. And these spikes are huge too. That's probably like 2 or 3 inches on its back. And as usual, the tail moves, the legs move, the arms move, but on this one, the head doesn't move, so it's looking just straight forward. And look at those eyes on it too. See that little blue dot in its eyes. I see right here is another smaller King Kong figurine, and once again, check out the movability on its arms and its legs. And like the other ones, I forgot to mention earlier, but these do have this battle damage right on its shoulder. So when you take it off, you can see the red underneath as if he's wounded. So you can take that on and off while you're playing with a toy. And for this one, we've got the battle axe ready in hand for a fight. Check out that battle axe. All right, let's see what else we've got. Oh, look at here. This is the Mothra larva from the Tokyo SOS movie. And look at that, you can even twist its neck side to side like that. And I believe we actually have the Mothra adult figure right here as well from the same movie. Look at the coloring on its wings too. And it's got that little itty bitty face and arms. But yeah, these wings are ginormous. Very neat. All right, we're just about done with this bin. I can see this other Godzilla figurine. Look at this. It's got the orange coloring in the front, and it's got the orange on the spikes as well. The head swivels, the legs move, the arms move. And this is another, like, I'd say medium-sized Godzilla figurine right here. That is awesome. All right, look at this one. This is the Rodan figurine from the Godzilla series. And look at the wingspan on this. And it's got the yellow body, and you can tell that that's like armor plating on it right there. So this one's pretty protected. It's got the beak, and I think those are horns on it as well. tell me in the comments below, do you remember in what movie Rodan fought Godzilla? Comment below and let me know. All right, we're just about done. We've got a lot of little figurines in here. Let's go through them really quickly. So we've got a bunch of small Godzillas right here. You can see this one's blue with black. See this one's like mostly black. Check out this one here. It's got the blue spikes. Oh, and look at this one. We saw this version of Godzilla a little bit earlier. Do you remember that orange coloring? We've got this other smaller Godzilla. Check this one out. This is a miniature Mechagodzilla. And look at those rockets on its shoulders too. That is intimidating. All right, that is it for today's video. Thanks so much for joining. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Welcome to this video, everyone. Today we are unboxing this gigantic bin full of Godzilla, King Kong, and even some Jurassic World dinosaur figures. I'm super excited. Let's dive in and let's start unboxing these. All right, so first up, we've got this Godzilla 1995. Let's check them out. Look at those, that orange and yellow. Looks like there's fire coming out of them. This is a classic Godzilla figure right here, and you can even collect the other figures from this same toy maker. Let's take it out. All right, I think the tail's on there all the way. Let's check them out. So not bad. Check out his back. Look at all those spikes. His tail moves. He's got moving arms here. Even his head swivels too. His mouth doesn't open and shut. Check out those eyes though. Those are some angry eyes. Very cool. Not bad, you know? Very cool. All right, let's check out the next toy. So here we've got the Antarctic Kong from the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. Let's check it out. And look, it even comes with a miniature helicopter as well. And he's got battle damage reveal. And there's tons more in the same series too. Cool. Let's check them out. Let's get a closer look. All right. So here we go. It's the Antarctic Kong. You can see all over him, he's got this snow from the outdoors because he's out in the snow where it's super cold. All his arms and legs, they swivel and move. He's actually pretty adjustable. His head adjusts back and forth. Let's check out this battle damage too. All right, so here's the battle damage piece. So you just put it on his arm to hide the battle damage. So now he looks normal, he looks healthy and unhurt, and then he goes into the battle. He's fighting Godzilla or whoever else really, and then if he gets bitten on the arm, you can take that off and show a wound in his arm. That's pretty cool. And let's check out the helicopter too. Ooh, this is a tiny helicopter. Well, the rotors don't spin, but it's still pretty cool to have. Very nice. I like the snow. That's a lot different from the other ones. He looks like he's been out in the cold for a long time. All right, who next? Let's do this one. This looks like a gigantic figure. Let's see what it is here.
check it out. Check out this Godzilla here. This is another kind of classic looking one. You can see from the face. This isn't from the most recent movies, but it's still a pretty cool Godzilla. Let's attach the tail. Oh, okay. That one was a lot easier. Cool, so a lot of the same movements as the smaller Godzilla that we already unboxed. Check it out, he's got gold nails, and he's got the blue all over his body. Very cool. And he's like hollow too, so I bet he could float in your pool or something like that. Let's get a close-up on those claws and on that face too. He's looking pretty angry too. All right, I see another King Kong toy back here. So this is another Godzilla vs. Kong action figure. It is the Battle Roar Kong from Monsterverse. So monster battle sounds. Push here to activate Battle Roar. All right, let's check it out. Let's go ahead and take him out of the packaging. So he's got this button on his back right here that you press, and he'll make a Battle Roar sound. Let's check it out. Here we go. Pretty cool. And you notice when I press the button, his mouth actually opens and shuts too. That's pretty cool. And he's got moving arms here. He's like kind of beating his chest right here. His legs and his feet move as well. And his face is like it's like a rubber, kind of. See, when he roars, he makes that snarling face too. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Very nice, pretty good detail, I will say, for a toy this size. And it is pretty cool that the mouth opens and closes when you press the button too. Very fun. All right, let's open up one of these mystery bags right here. Let's see what figure is inside this one. Oh, check it out. Wow, this one is huge. Man, I can't even get him out of the bag, he's so big. Wow, this guy's ginormous. I mean, look at this. He fits in both of my hands. Look at this Kong figure. Check it out. So he's got a chain wrapped around his wrist that I'm sure he uses for attacking and defending himself. See around his body, very cool. And look, you can even see some battle damage on his chest there. And his torso rotates, his arms move. This is pretty neat. And this is another one that's like, you can tell it's like rubber and it's hollow. So it probably will float in your bathtub or in your pool too. This is pretty cool. He looks like he's ready to fight. All right, let's open up a Jurassic World figure next. Check this out. This one, wow, look at that name. That's a Chialingosaurus. Is that how you say that? I'm not even sure. That is quite the name. I actually haven't heard of this one before, but check it out. It's got a spike strike action. This is very cool. Let's go ahead and take it out of the packaging and let's check it out. All right. Wow, look at this. Look at this on his shoulders, on his front arms. He's got spikes. It's probably for defending himself. I wonder how he uses that to defend himself. And check out his spikes on the back of his tail. Those are massive. And you can see the toy has this swivel action, so you can really get those swings in when he's defending himself against whatever other dinosaur. Maybe he's fighting a T-Rex, maybe a Velociraptor, who knows? But look at all these spikes. They're made of rubber, so they do bend when you touch him. I guess that's a good thing so you don't hurt yourself when you're playing with it. But wow. And then he's got a yellow chest here and yellow front arms. I'm really digging these spikes on his front arms, right on the shoulders. That looks pretty fierce. Very cool. And yeah, check out this tail swivel action again. That's pretty fast. Very cool. I'm liking this dinosaur. You know, he doesn't necessarily look like the most ferocious one, but I definitely wouldn't mess with him out in the wild. That's for sure. All right, let's dive in here. Let's see what we're gonna pull out next. All right, another big one. Ooh, this one looks a little purple. Let's get it out of the packaging. Oh, check out this Godzilla action figure. That is a ginormous tail right there. It's swiveling, very cool. It's like a little squished, actually. Ooh, look at those red eyes. Those are some menacing red eyes right there. Very cool. I like the color differences between all the Godzillas that we've gotten so far. That's pretty cool. It's all sorts of colors. And his arms swivel up and down, his tail moves, his legs move, so you can have him run around and chase after other dinosaurs and everything. This is pretty cool. Very neat. I'm liking this one. All right, should we open this bag next or this one? Let's open up this one. Let's check out this Jurassic World dinosaur. So we've got the Spinosaurus here. All right, let's go ahead and open it up. Take it out. It looks like you have to attach the tail here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, it just clicked in, cool. So now it is set to go. So this is the Spinosaurus. Wow, first off, look at those teeth in the front. Those are some huge teeth. And this toy, the mouth doesn't open, but still. Check out, there it is right there. The Spinosaurus and his, I think it's a ridged back. That's amazing. And look at the coloring. It goes from green to silver to red. And he's got the red coloring around his eyes as well. But most of his body is a green color, just like the forest. So he probably blends in and his prey doesn't notice that he's sneaking up on them until it's too late. And then he'll eat them. He's got moving arms here, moving legs. It's a pretty cool toy. We've got some bigger Spinosaurus toys out on our shelf, but this is a smaller one and it's still pretty neat. All right, I think it's time to go for the mystery bag. Let's check out the mystery bag. Let's see what's inside. Oh, interesting, okay. So it's a purple Godzilla. It's like that other purple Godzilla we had, but actually I'm kind of liking the design of this one a little bit better. I really like how bright this purple is and how it's just along the spikes on his back. And look at the detail of his skin too. Look at all that. It's super rough and scaly or something. It's like, well, he's a lizard, so, but his skin is super rough. And look at his face. They painted in all of his teeth and his eyes too. It's looking pretty ferocious. And the spikes on his back, I think, could be larger than the other ones too. This is a pretty cool one. I think this one's my most favorite purple Godzilla that we've gotten so far. This is pretty cool. All right, let's open up another one. Let's see what we got here in this bag. A Godzilla. Ooh, this one looks like a more classic Godzilla. Look at that. He's got huge legs. Look at his torso. This one is ginormous. I wonder how much he weighs if it was in real life. And look at the spikes on his back. This time, and this toy, they're orange. There's 3 rows of them. And his head is a little bit smaller than the Godzilla we just were looking at too. But look at this one. They painted in the tongue, they got the teeth, they got the eyes. There's even a little glimmer in the eyes. You can see that yellow. It looks pretty vicious, I will say. But yeah, look at the size of this one. This one's like a bodybuilder or something. He's got those claws on his hands. Very cool. This one's pretty neat. All right, let's check out this other Jurassic World toy here. We've got the Triceratops, a classic one. This one's got the battle damage. You can see here this little thing that opens and closes on its side to reveal the battle damage after he's been in a fight. Very cool. Let's get him out of the packaging here. All right, let's have a look. So his legs can move. You can have him run back and forth. Oh, and his head moves too. You can have it swivel side to side and a little bit up and down too. And then biggest of all, or coolest of all, is this battle damage reveal. You can have it just go back and forth whenever you want. But yeah, check out this Triceratops here. Got the huge protective part of their head right there that they can use probably to defend themselves, I imagine, because this is what is protecting their back and everything. And then you've got these huge horns on the front of them. On this toy, it's rubber, which is pretty nice, so you don't hurt yourself. But I can imagine in real life, horns like this on a Triceratops would do quite a bit of damage to whoever was attacking. This one's awesome. Cool. All right, let's move on. Let's open up this one. It's looking gold. Do you see that? It's super shimmery and reflecting. Very cool. Oh, wow. Check this one out. This looks like a Godzilla made out of gold or something. Wow, this one's really cool. Look at this tail too. Again, this is ginormous. Look at these huge spikes on its back. Wow. Look at that. It's so reflective and shiny. It's like a golden statue of a Godzilla. And its legs move, its arms move, its tail swivels back and forth. Let's get a close-up on his face here. Wow, yeah, look at all that gold painting. That's pretty cool. I like that it's not all gold, it still has black in it, so it gives it a lot of texture and makes him look really tough and fierce. Very cool. All right, let's check out this one here. It's looking like a Kong. Is it a King Kong? It is. Oh, this one looks quite a bit different. Let's check him out. Wow, look at the length of his arms in this one. He's got super long arms. And his head moves as well. You can see he's got fur all over his body. And again, you can see some battle damage on his chest right there. But look at that face. He's like right in the middle of a fight. He's ready to eat something or someone. He's super angry. It looks like maybe his hands could hold stuff. You could probably put a tree in his hand or something like that, and he might be able to hold it pretty well. That's pretty neat. But wow, yeah. This one's arms are super long. Very cool. I like it. Alright, and we've got another, is this a Godzilla? I think this is a yep, it's a Godzilla. Check it out. It's pretty similar to some of the other ones we've got. See, it looks a lot like the gold Godzilla that we just opened up a minute ago, but instead it's got the blue back and a black body. And again, look at those eyes. This one's eyes are red, and even its teeth, it's kind of teeth, are painted white. Yeah, this one's ginormous too. This one's probably stands maybe like a little less than a foot tall. So this one's pretty big. Very cool. I'm excited to add this one to my collection. All right, let's move on here. I'll check this out. Wow, look at this one. This looks like a super heavy armored Mechagodzilla. Wow, look at all the silver on this. And check it out. He's got some rockets on his shoulders right there on both sides. And he's got the spikes on his back too. They're a little bit more hidden because he's got so much else going on. Ooh, look at the tail too. I like this design of the tail. All these little bumps on it. That looks very robotic. And his legs right here. His head, it's moving back and forth. His eyes are a pure yellow. He's looking around, looking for his next target. Very cool. And look at that. I think he's got blasters on his arms too right there. Wow. That is a lot. He is heavily armored and ready to go. Awesome. All right, let's check out this figurine here. Wow. This one is ready to attack. I mean, check this out. It's got spikes on its knees. Look at its feet. Those are spiked. Look at these huge, they're like sword claw things on its arms. I believe this is a Gigan that fights Godzilla. Look at his face too. If you know what this is, let me know in the comments. Look at that mouth. He's got these pinchers on the side. He's got a spike on his head. And even the back of him looks super fierce too. Look at his tail. It's got all these spikes on it. This is a war machine right here. This one is ready to fight all the time. Very cool. All right, next up, ooh, another King Kong action figure. I really love how maneuverable these are. You can move them in all sorts of different positions and everything. And this one too also has the battle damage. Check it out. So now he's wounded, his arm is wounded, and he's like, oh, I can't use this arm anymore. Oh, but then you can put it back on for when he's all healed up. Or ideally. This is very cool. And look at that. Look at that purple and blue coloring on him, on his shoulders and his arms. And you've got a little bit on his chin right there. This is very cool coloring. I like this one. Now look at here. Bottom we've got, well, it's not exactly a King Kong, but it is, I believe it's a gorilla. And not only that, but it's a stretch gorilla. That's super weird. Check it out. Look how far it can stretch. Yeah, this doesn't look like King Kong, but it's still cool nonetheless. You can stretch him super far. Look at that. And then he just snaps back into his normal spot. This is pretty cool. You could be playing with this all day. And over here, I see we've got the Radon figurine from Godzilla. Look at the wingspan here. This is probably maybe about a foot in width. So he's got some pretty big wings. Check out his feet. They swivel back and forth. He's got the yellow claws. He's got the armored protection plating on him. And then look at that beak as well. That is a ginormous beak. He's ready to soar off and fly and attack as well. Cool. And this one right here, let's check out. Oh, this is a different looking one. Look at this. Look at his face. That's totally different from the other Godzilla figurines. And look at his chest here. Look at that. It looks like it's glowing. That's so cool. Looks like something's glowing from out of his chest. He's got these little arms. He's got the spiked back again with the red glowing from in between the spikes. And he's got a super long tail. Look at that. That's like longer than he is tall. That is super long. Very cool. And his feet move as well. And look at that. He's got those little beady eyes. It's looking pretty ferocious, but I'm a big fan of that glowing red chest. That looks pretty awesome. All right, we got a few more in here. Let's check them out. So this one, I think, is the Godzilla in the third form. But let me know if it's a different one. I could be wrong about that. But look, you see it's got the spikes on its back, the three ridges. You can see it doesn't really have arms yet. You can see His arms are poking out right there, but he's got some ginormous legs already. You can see along his neck, he's got a super long neck here, and then his face. He's looking wild. You can see that they painted in each tooth, which is a nice detail I appreciate. And he's got those huge eyes. And he's all red. He's got some bright red along his side, and then a more soft red along the rest of his body. All right, got another Godzilla figurine here with the blue back. Very cool. This one's like an actual metallic shininess to it. It really pops out. That's pretty cool. Look at his face. This one's got the blue eyes. His mouth doesn't move, but his arms, his legs, and his tail move as well. This is pretty cool. It is a smaller Godzilla than some of the other ones. Like the gold Godzilla that we saw was probably about like this big, so it was a lot taller. All right, we got just a few more left. Here is another Godzilla, and I believe this one is the second form. So this one it's like a tannish color. You see it's still got those red along its neck and its red mouth. It's got those big eyes again. And the spikes on its back, instead of it being red like the other one, this one's like a darker brown. So yeah, I think this one's the second form, and look, his arms are even, I think, a little less visible than the other ones. So you can see they're just starting to develop right there. Very cool. And here's the last Godzilla of the bin. So it's a little one. We got a little Godzilla here. But this one is also a blue-backed one. It's got those 3 lines of spikes. And look at his face. I do like the texture on this one. Check it out. It is pretty textured, so you can see how rough his skin is. And look at that face right there. It's little tiny eyes. They are painted blue. He's got these claws that are painted blue as well. And his feet are blue. Pretty neat. And last but not least, got another King Kong figurine right there. This one's looking angry. This one has quite a bit of detail though. Check out that face. You can see those eyes. You can see each tooth. You can see his tongue and the area around his tongue. That's pretty detailed. I do like that. And once again, you've got some battle damage along his chest right there. His torso swivels back and forth. His arms move up and down. This one is about the same size figurine as the other ones we saw. So, you know, it's probably like maybe 6 inches high. But still a very cool figurine.
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a huge collection of Jurassic World apex predators, meaning that they are at the top of the food chain. And I've actually got a brand new Tyrannosaurus Rex from the Jurassic World Legacy Collection that we're gonna open up first. Here is the brand new T-Rex and the baby T-Rex. I already have one of these T-Rexes, but I think this is the first of the green T-Rex that I have. So I'm super excited to check this one out. As you can see, most of its body's a dark green color. It's got the lighter underbelly, and it's got the black detailing right along the top. And it's about as adjustable as my other T-Rex figures. So you can move the ankles, you can move the legs into different positions, move the tail around, and in the neck you can also move around so it can look in different directions. And of course, there's the button at the top of its head for the chomping action. This is a really cool looking figure, and I'm sure that the T-Rex is one of the best known apex predators. Here we've got a dinosaur that you can't find in real life, but I'm sure it would be an apex predator if it was real. This is the Indominus Rex, and this is one of the big figures. You can see that it's pretty adjustable. You can move the legs into different positions, and that causes the dinosaur to look up and down. You can see it moves its neck back and forth like that. This figure also comes with the 2 action buttons, one for the chomping, and then one on the back for the slashing action. This is another T-Rex. This one is mostly brown. It's got the dark brown on the top, lighter brown on the sides, and then a tan on the bottom. And this T-Rex figure has a tearing action, actually. So when you press this button on its back, it tears just like that. And there's also a second action button that swings the tail back and forth. Here is a Carcharodontosaurus with blue coloring on its body and the orange and brown detailing on the top. This also has one action button for chomping. Plus, you can adjust the arms and the legs and the tail as well. Next up, we've got 2 Endoraptors. And obviously, these dinosaurs aren't from real life, but if they were, I can guarantee you that they would be an apex predator. I just remember them from the Jurassic World movie. These were some of the most feared dinosaurs. This first Endoraptor is a more basic figure. You can only move the arms, the legs, and the tail, but you can't adjust the neck or open and close the mouth. But on this second Endoraptor figure, this one is super adjustable. It's got a bunch of points of articulation. Again, it's a double jointed tail. You can bend the knees, you can bend the ankles, you can adjust the arms fully, and you can open and close the mouth too. Right over here, we've got 2 Suchomimuses. This one is a blue with yellow detailing, and this one is yellow with brown detailing on the top. This one has 2 action buttons, one for chomping and one for the tail. This Suchomimus only has 1 action button that activates the jaw. Right up top here, we've got a smaller figure, but still a fearsome predator. This is a Baryonyx. Got the green sides and belly and the brown top. The arms and legs can articulate and move around, and there's an action button on its back for chomping. Back here, actually, we've got another Baryonyx. This one has a brown body and sides with the dark gray blue coloring on the top and the bright orange detailing right on the top of its face. And just like the other figure, the legs and the arms can move too. Here is an older Jurassic World figure. You can see that this is another T-Rex. It's got the full tan body, and on its head it's got some gray detailing. It's got those yellow eyes and an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Here we've got a newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This is a Yangchuanosaurus. It's got the green body, a lighter yellow underbelly. It's got some brown detailing along the top, and then that bright orange piece right on its head. This figure is pretty adjustable with its arms and its legs. You can see that moving the legs dips its head down like that. And the tail controls the jaw and can move the neck around too. Back here is another newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This is a Scorpiovenator. This figure has an orange belly and sides. It's got some white detailing right along the top and a dark gray-blue color right along the top of its head. This figure is fairly adjustable. You can move the arms and the legs, and when you push down on its legs, it does a chomping action. This one is another T-Rex. This T-Rex, though, is the Battle Damage Edition. It's got the button on top that you can use to turn on and off the battle damage, which is a pretty awesome feature. This figure is pretty adjustable, too. You can move the ankles, can move the legs up and down. The tail only has 1 joint in it, though. But the neck of this T-Rex is really adjustable. You can have him look in all directions, and you can open and close its mouth really easily. This is a Carnotaurus figure. It's got the clay red body with the darker detailing spots on the sides and the brown right along the top. You can see that the Carnotaurus has a lot of bumps and ridges and that spine right there as well. And with this figure, the tail controls the head, and there's a button as well to open and close its mouth. Here's another newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series, and I think this is one of my favorite newest dinosaur figures. This is the Rajasaurus. This figure also has a chomping action when you press down on the legs, and you can adjust its arms, its legs, and even twist its tail around a little bit. I love this dinosaur's head. You've got the horn right at the top, and you've got this really cool, smaller spine right on its neck, these spikes. It's really cool. Here we have another very well-known apex predator. This is a Velociraptor. This specific one is actually Velociraptor Charlie from the Amber collection. So this figure is very adjustable. You can move all the different parts of its arms and legs, and you can adjust its head quite a bit as well too. And it's even got this headpiece right behind its face too. This is another ginormous T-Rex, and this T-Rex is pretty adjustable as well. As you can see, you can move the arms up and down, you can adjust the leg position, and instead of moving the neck and face up here, you actually can control it with the tail by swiveling it. This is another Velociraptor from the Amber collection. This one is Velociraptor Echo. This Velociraptor has the light brown coloring as well as the dark black right on top. And just like the other Amber collection Velociraptor, it is very adjustable on all different parts of its body. You can even move the claws on its feet up and down. Back over here, we've got a smaller Indominus Rex figure. This is an older Jurassic World figure. It's got the battle damage on the side that you can open and close. And this figure is fairly adjustable as well. You can move the legs a little bit, you can move the arms just a bit, and the tail controls the mouth and the neck too. We've got a few more awesome looking Baryonyxes in here. This first one has a slide action for different roaring sound effects. And this Baryonyx doesn't have any buttons on it, but you can use the tail to move the head around. Right over here is a well-known predator from Jurassic World. Once again, it isn't a real dinosaur, but I can guarantee this would be an apex predator. This is the Scorpius Rex. This figure has 2 action buttons on its back, one for the mouth and one for the claws. And the rest of the figure is pretty adjustable too. You can move the legs quite a bit, and you can adjust the neck to have it look around. And the tail is spring-loaded too, so you can fling the tail back and forth with those poisonous quills. Back here is a huge water dinosaur that I'm sure you recognize from the first Jurassic World movie. This is the Mosasaurus. This figure is ginormous. It's got a dark blue body on the top and then a white underbelly. And all over its body you can actually see these like white specks, a little bit of detailing. And there's a few things that you can move on this figure. You can move the fins around, you can swivel the tail back and forth, and you can open and close the jaw, which is a pretty big jaw, I'd say. Probably fit a few small dinosaurs in there. Here's another popular apex predator. This is the Spinosaurus. Did you know that the Spinosaurus is the largest known carnivorous dinosaur that existed? These were even bigger than T-Rexes. This figure has an adjustable tail, the legs are pretty movable, as well as the ankles. You can move the arms up and down, and you can actually adjust the neck quite a bit as well too. Here is another awesome T-Rex predator. This looks to be very similar as the first T-Rex that I unboxed in this video, but with different coloring. See, it's got the brown body and the darker brown on top, and just like the other T-Rex, an adjustable tail, you can move the legs and the arms, and you can move the head around too. Here's another dinosaur from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is a Quetzalcoatlus. I didn't really know how big these dinosaurs were until I saw them in the new Jurassic World movie. These things were huge, and they took down that plane. This is a Ceratosaurus. I think we actually have another one with different coloring. This one is a dark green color with black detailing on the top, and this one is a light gray with red and a darker gray detailing on the top as well. And they both have that slide action button for different sound effects and different roars. I think the sound effects are the same though. This one's an interesting looking dinosaur. This is a Cryolophosaurus. Look at that interesting crowning on the top of its head. This Cryolophosaurus has a dark blue body with white, red, and bright orange detailing. And you can move the arms, you can move the legs, and you can use the tail to move the head around. Here is another mighty Carnotaurus, the red side and the dark, it's almost like a purple color on the top. This dinosaur has an adjustable tail, and adjustable legs and arms, and there's a button on the top for the chomping action. Ah, here's a species I don't think we've seen in this collection yet. This is an Allosaurus. It's got the dark green body with the red and white detailing. See, it's got those spikes right along its spines up top, and you can adjust the arms and the legs and the tail. And it's got the slide action button for different roars and chomps. This bright red dinosaur is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's a pretty interesting looking one. It's smaller than most of the other figures. It's got the bright orange detailing on the top of its head and the action button on its back for chomping. Next up, we've got, I believe, a Majungasaurus. This is a super colorful dinosaur. It's got the dark green, yellow, and blue on its neck. It's got those teal eyes. And like many of the other dinosaur figures, you can use the tail to move the head and neck around. This is an Albertosaurus with the Battle Damage Edition. As you can see, it's got two different types of battle damage. One that's right there on the top of the plastic, and one that you can actually open up. This has the stomach and ribs that you can close down, and then the skin that you can do to cover all of the battle damage. That's pretty cool. The rest of the figure is pretty adjustable too. You can move the legs, arms, and tail, as well as the neck, and you can open and close the mouth manually. Over here is the Carcharodontosaurus with a blue body and orange and brown detailing. Look at all those spikes right along its spine too. It's interesting how they're all different heights. With this figure, you can move the arms, legs, and tail, and there's an action button on top for chomping. Here is another Allosaurus with different coloring and different actions too. Check out those spikes right along its spine. You can see the two action buttons right here, one for the mouth and one for the arms. And I think we actually have one more Allosaurus in here with different coloring. This one is gray with yellow detailing. You can only move the arms and legs in this figure, aside from the action button on its back that controls its mouth. Right over here is another Albertosaurus. This figure is about medium-sized, and it does not have any battle damage like the one we saw earlier, but it's still pretty adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, and you can use the tail to control the face. Here is another Carnotaurus. This one is a newer figure from the Jurassic World Dominion series. As you can see, it's got the broken horn in the front, and this figure is smaller, but pretty adjustable. You can move the legs, the arms, twist the tail, and you can move the head and jaw around too. Here are a few small Dilophosaurus figures. This first one is mostly gray with red detailing and an action button on the tail that activates the frills. The second one is a bit more brightly colored. It has a green body and two different tones of orange, as well as the action button to activate the frills. And last but not least, we've got a bunch of smaller Velociraptor figures. Oh, actually, this is another baby T-Rex, just like we saw at the beginning of the video. But the rest of these figures are all Velociraptors, so let's check them out one by one. First, we've got the tan and brown Velociraptor. This one has a slashing action, spring-loaded torso, so it swings back and forth. This Velociraptor has a brown and yellow body with battle damage that you can open and close on the side. This next Velociraptor has a red and dark purple body, and you can move the arms, legs, and tail, as well as the mouth, but there's no special features on this figure. And these last two figures are similar in movement, but with different coloring. It's got the blue body with a yellow and gold coloring. This one has a dark brown color with orange on the top.
Welcome to my Camp Cretaceous Predator versus Prey collection from Jurassic World. We've got a bunch of figures, so let's get started with the biggest and baddest of them all, this Indominus Rex figure. This figure is ginormous. I think it might be one of the largest Predator figures that I have in my Jurassic World collection, aside from these super colossal figures. And it's also got these action buttons on its back, one for slashing the claws and one to activate the jaws. How cool is that? Plus, there's even lights down its throat that you can kind of see on the outside too. Next up, we've got a massive Spinosaurus figure. This figure is the light tan with the dark brown and red along the spine. It is very posable, and its neck is very movable, which is really cool. Plus, there's a button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. And check out all those teeth too. Right over here is our first prey of the bin. This is a Triceratops figure with the dark green coloring. It's got some brown detailing along the top and on the front as well. And this figure actually has two action buttons on its back. One is to lift the head up and down for striking with those awesome horns, and the second button swings the tail back and forth. I bet that would hurt if you got hit by this in real life too. Next up, another Predator, the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex with the gray-brown coloring and the dark brown on top. This figure is very posable as well. It's got a decent amount of detailing in the coloring. I like how they fade from the dark brown to the gray-brown coloring. And of course, it's got the button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. Here is another T-Rex Predator. This figure is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. This one has some very different detailing than the T-Rex that we just saw. It's got these splotches all over its back with the lighter underbelly and the darker coloring right around its eyes too. And this figure has two action buttons. The first one is for the roaring. That's really cool how it lifts its whole neck up. And the second action is actually when you twist the tails, it stomps its feet up and down with sound effects. Here's a small prey from Camp Cretaceous. This is the gray and dark purple Brachiosaurus. It's actually a baby Brachiosaurus, but it's still quite movable and posable. You can move the neck, the legs, and you can even open and close the jaw too. So even though it's pretty small, it's still a pretty cool figure. On to another Predator figure. This figure was made famous by the first Jurassic World movie. This is a Mosasaurus, and this figure is huge. And it's even larger in real life as well compared to the other dinosaurs. It's got this dark blue body with white splotches all over. You can open and close the jaw, you can move all the fins, and you can even swing the tail back and forth too. Right here, we've got, I believe this is the Rowdy Roars Carnotaurus figure. So it's kind of funny because it looks almost like a baby Carnotaurus. It's got these huge feet and a huge head and then this small body. Plus, it actually comes with a few actions as well. There's a button at the bottom of its tail for the chomping. It's pretty cool. You can see it swings its neck forward. And there's also a button on the top of its head for blinking and more sound effects. Right over here is another Carnotaurus Predator figure. This one has the light gray coloring on the underbelly and that same orange-red coloring on its side and the brown on top. Of course, it's got those iconic horns at the top of its head, those yellow eyes, and it has a few action features as well. You can open and close the mouth using a button on its tail, and you can twist its head in all directions to look really lifelike. Next up, I've actually got some brand new Camp Cretaceous sets that we're gonna open up right now. Let's check out this first one. This is the Ben and Ankylosaurus Bumpy set from the Dino Escape. It looks a little opened up already, but I think it still has most of the pieces. Let's check it out. See the spear over here? And let's go ahead and get Ben out of here and check him out. All right, so the Ben figure actually comes with this awesome little shield and this spear that he can hold. Plus, the figure itself has some pretty cool detailing. The figure looks dirty as if it's been in the jungle and in the wild, so pretty lifelike. And of course, we've got the cute little Ankylosaurus Bumpy with the iconic blue coloring on the top and the yellow underbelly. And even though this figure is pretty small, you can even twist the tail around and adjust that, and move the legs and twist the neck around too. So there's a lot that you can move around on this figure. I've got one more brand new Camp Cretaceous set to open up. This is the Camp Adventure set. All right, this set comes with 4 figurines. The first is this giant Stegosaurus figure, which is a prey dinosaur, and it's got the gray-blue body with the darker coloring right along the top. You can move the neck around a little bit, you can adjust all the legs, and it has an action button that swings its tail back and forth. Next in the set, we've got a Baryonyx figure. That's really cool. I have a few other Baryonyx figures like this. This one has the light green coloring along most of its body, and then it has the dark brown detailing along some of its leg and along the top as well, while its head is a lighter brown color. Plus, there is an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Next in the set, we've got Darius with the iconic yellow sweater and the blue pants. This figure even has the dinosaur tooth necklace around their neck. How cool is that? And last of all, and smallest of all, is another Ankylosaurus Bumpy figure. This figure is super small though, and actually none of the parts move. Oh, you know what? The tail moves back and forth. How cool is that? But that's the only part that moves on this teeny tiny figure. All right, back to the bin. Let's see what other predators and preys we have. We've got another giant T-Rex figure with the light brown coloring on the side and darker brown on the top. You can wiggle the tail around, you can adjust the ankles and move the legs. And of course, it's got the button on the top of its head to activate the jaws. I really like with these figures how you can pose their neck in all directions and it actually stays looking in that direction. Right over here, we've got 2 prey figures of the same species. These are both Triceratops. You can tell because they have the 3 horns on the front of their face. This first one is a lot larger and has the clay red coloring and 1 action button on its back to move its head up and down. And the smaller Triceratops figure is a light green in color, and this figure has a really cool feature on the side of its body, which is the battle damage that you can open and close. I really like these because you can choose to hide the battle damage or open it up and show it. We've got more awesome predator figures in here. This is the Albertosaurus with the green body and the orange detailing on the side. And this figure, you can use the tail to twist the head back and forth, as well as open and close the jaw. Here is an Allosaurus figure, and I've actually got a few more Allosaurus figures in here, so let's check these out one at a time. This first one is a dark green color. It's got some red and white detailing right along its neck and its head. It's got those dark red eyes, which I think is really cool. And this figure has the slide lever action to open the jaw and get a bunch of sound effects too. This next Allosaurus figure is gray and light yellow. You can move all the limbs on this one. This one has some yellow eyes, and it has 1 action button on its back to activate the jaws. And here is the final Allosaurus of the bin. This is a brown and dark blue Allosaurus. It looks very much the same as the other figures. It's got the yellow eyes on this figure, as well as the spikes going down its neck, and the slide lever action for different roar sound effects. And a bunch of different poses too. Here's another prey figure. This is a Sauropelta. It has the bright red top and the brown underbelly and those super huge spikes coming out of its shoulders. It's got a whole row. It's actually got 2 rows on each side. And this figure is actually spring-loaded, so you can swing it back and forth to attack with those spikes. Next up, we've got another Rowdy Roars figure. This is an Indominus Rex. It looks very much the same as the Rowdy Roars Carnotaurus. It's got the big feet, the giant head, and the small body, and it actually has some actions as well. You can use the tail to open the jaw, and then you can press on the tongue to snap it shut. And there is a button on its nose as well to activate more sound effects. I've got some smaller prey in here as well. Check out these Gallimimus figures. They look pretty identical, but this one is a darker orange coloring with brown stripes, and this one is much lighter. And they both have the same movements. You can move all the limbs, you can twist the tail, and you can move the necks up and down as well. Next up, I believe, is the Ceratosaurus figure. This figure is gray, it's got some dark brown, and then the bright red along its back, which is a really cool color scheme, I think. It's got the action button on its back to activate the jaw as well.
Here is our first winged predator of the bin. This is a pteranodon, and this one actually has some battle damage on its wings. You can see that there's a hole in its wing right there. Plus, you can actually open up more battle damage right on its back. Looks like I've got a few more baryonyx figures in here as well. This first one is another light green with the brown detailing along the top. It's got the action button on its back for chomping, and I've also got this battle damage baryonyx as well. This one is a darker red color with some blue detailing on the top. It's got a lighter color along the top of its head, and you can see the battle damage on its neck, on its leg, and it looks like that's about it. But it also has an action button to activate the jaw as well. Next up is another prey from Camp Cretaceous. This is the Stegosaurus with the brown, light tan, and green coloring. It's very much similar to the Stegosaurus that we saw earlier, including an action button to swing its tail back and forth, but this one actually has another feature that when you press down here, it moves its neck up and down. The next predator is a Mechagodzilla in the bright red coloring with the brown detailing and the light orange along its head and its nose as well. This figure also has the action button on its back to activate the jaw. Right over here, we've got a Pachycephalosaurus figurine. This is light tan along the sides, it's a bit brighter along its belly, and it has the dark gray-blue detailing along its top and on its legs too. Plus, this figure has an action button that when you move the tail, it does the headbutting action. So this figure is actually spring-loaded. All right, check it out. We've got a few raptor figures in here. Velociraptors to be exact. This first one is the green Velociraptor. It is in a sneaking pose. It's crawling along the ground, looking for some prey. And I've also got this blue Velociraptor with some awesome detailing and even the gold on the top of its head. That's a really cool feature. I think this is my only Velociraptor with reflective gold on its head. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures in here, all with different coloring. This first one is super bright green. It's got the darker green along the top and an action button. When you push down on the tail, it opens and closes its jaw. I've also got these other Monolophosaurus. This one is like a light red color with almost purple coloring along its back, and it also has the action button to open and close its jaw. And this Monolophosaurus is dark green with some bright yellow and red coloring along the top, and it also has the action button to open and close its jaw using the tail. Here we've got a few more prey figures from Camp Cretaceous. This first one is a Stygimoloch figure and is really small, but it's still quite posable. You can move the head in all directions, you can twist the tail and move the limbs. And this figure, I believe, is the Protoceratops. It's got the light purple body with some brighter yellow coloring along the top and on the front as well. And it's got some bright yellow eyes too. Looks like we've got two more winged predators in here. These both, I believe, are Dimorphodons. This first one is a lot brighter. It's got like some fire detailing on the underside of its wings, and the rest of its body is a darker red. And this figure has some purplish coloring along the underside of its wings, while the rest of its body is a gray color. Just a few small figures left. We've got another Gallimimus figure, this one with different coloring. It actually has yellow and brown striping along its back, all the way up to its head. I've also got, I think this is a Troodon figure. It's kind of funny because it looks like it's got a mohawk, but those are actually just the spines going all the way down its back. It's got some cool coloring as well. And then, of course, I've got a Dilophosaurus figure with the light coloring along its body and the red along its frills. Plus, this figure has an action that when you move the tail, its frills activate. And last of all, I've got some of the Camp Cretaceous human character figurines. We've even got Darius again, we've got Brooklyn, and all these figures, each with their own unique looks.
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a ton of Predator dinosaur figures from the Camp Cretaceous collection. And I've even got some huge brand new ones to open up today. Let's go ahead and start with these brand new ones. Let's start with the biggest one at the bottom here. This is the super colossal Indominus Rex. Let's open it up. This thing is already huge. Let's get those legs and tail on. Here is the fully assembled super colossal Indominus Rex. So first off, it has the typical coloring that the smaller Indominus Rexes have. But when you open up the mouth, you can see that there's a tunnel that goes all the way down into the stomach compartment right here. So you can actually feed this Indominus Rex miniature dinosaurs and then empty it out through the stomach right here. That is super cool. Plus, even though this thing is huge, it still is fully adjustable. Of course, you can adjust the jaw. You can also twist the neck. You can adjust the arms up and down. You can move the legs and ankles. And of course, you can move the tail. All in all, I'd say this dinosaur is probably around 2 feet tall and maybe 3 feet long. We've still got 2 brand new dinosaurs to open up. Let's start with the Albertosaurus. All right, so this is a medium-sized dinosaur. As you can see, it is a mostly green dinosaur, but it has those red striping on its side from the head all the way to its stomach on both sides. And there's an action button on the tail. If you press the button, it chomps the jaw. Plus, if you twist the tail, it moves its head back and forth like that. I have a few other Albertosauruses. Some of them even have battle damage on the side. This one does not, so this is just the normal primal attack Albertosaurus. Next up, we've got a feeding frenzy Indominus Rex. Let's open it up. All right, here is the Feeding Frenzy Indominus Rex. Let's check it out. So it has the same coloring as the huge one that we just saw, and it has this huge face and jaw too. This dinosaur comes with tons of sound effects, and it comes with this piece of meat. Let's see what happens when you feed it. So it's making some growling noises, and when it hits the trigger in there, its eyes start glowing too. That is pretty cool. And I love how big the teeth are on this dinosaur as well. Just look at that. Those are so huge. Right up top here, we've got another Indominus Rex. This one is still huge, not quite as huge as the super colossal one that we just opened up. And as you can see, it's colored kind of the same. It has some dark gray on the top and a lighter gray on the sides. It's got those orange eyes. And this dinosaur has 2 action buttons on it. First, you've got the tail button that activates the jaw. And then you've got a button on its back that activates the slashing action. All in all, this is a really cool Indominus Rex figure. Up next, we've got a giant Spinosaurus with dark green coloring on the sides. And on its spine, there's red, white, and a little bit of green at the bottom. Plus, this Spinosaurus is fully adjustable with the neck, the arms, the legs, and the tail. And of course, you can press the button on the top of its head to open its jaw. This is a super awesome figure and huge. Right up here, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but I believe that this one was custom colored. So you won't really see coloring like this on other T-Rexes that you can get. But look how cool it is. It's bright red, black on the top, and then the orange on the sides. It almost looks like the T-Rex is on fire. That is so awesome. Back here, we've got another T-Rex. This one is normal color. It's got brown on the sides, a darker brown on the top, and the tan belly. Plus, this dinosaur has a few action buttons as well. You can move the tail, and it moves its head around, which I really like. It's super realistic. And there's even a button on the tail that you can press to open its jaw. Back here, we've got another T-Rex, but this one is battle damage. Look at that right on the side. And pressing the button, you can turn it on and off.
That is super awesome. And this T-Rex is fully adjustable with the legs, tail, neck, and the jaw as well. Back here, we've actually got another battle damaged T-Rex, but this one is a bit different than the other one. Instead of having the thing on its side right here, you can see that there's a bunch of slashes all over its body, on the tail, on its legs, on its belly, and even on its face. And just like the other T-Rexes, this is fully adjustable. You can move the tail, the legs, the arms, the neck, and this one has a button at the top to make it roar. Here is another giant Spinosaurus with different coloring than the last one we saw. This one is mostly brown with the red detailing. You can see along its face it's got that bright red coloring as well as along its spine. And even on the top you can see that there's a lighter tan and then a dark brown color right along the top. That is super cool. Fully adjustable, and it has the button on the head that you can use to open its jaw. Up next, we've got the mighty Carcharodontosaurus. This dinosaur is a mostly tan yellow coloring, but you can see that there's orange and brown striping all the way up to its head. And this dinosaur has an action button as well. With the button on its back, you can do the chomping action. Here is the Tarbosaurus. This dinosaur has totally different coloring. It is a dark gray color with black stripes all along its body. It's got those spikes all along its spine, and right on its chin and on its neck is a bright red color. This dinosaur is fully adjustable with its arms, legs, tail. The tail actually controls the head, and the button on the tail controls the jaw as well. Here's another fierce predator. This is an Allosaurus. It's a dark green color with red and white speckles on its neck and face. And it is fully adjustable, and it's got this slide action. That is super awesome. Right over here, we've got the great Metriacanthosaurus. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a yellow-green color on the sides. It's got the green coloring on top with the action button that controls its jaw. And it is fully adjustable in the legs and arms as well. Right over here, we've actually got a few Baryonyxes with totally different coloring. This first one, gray coloring with blue and a bright blue on the top, and it has a slide action for its roars. This second Baryonyx is brown colored, and it has blue detailing on the top and a bright orange top of the head. And the action button on this dinosaur activates the jaw. All right, here's another massive predator. This is a Carnotaurus. This dinosaur can be controlled by its tail. When you move its tail, it moves its head around. There's also a button on the tail to activate the jaw. And I love the coloring on this. This is like a dark brown red color with speckles of like a gray color as well. So it's quite detailed and fully adjustable as usual too. Right over here, we've got a super long-nosed dinosaur. This is the Sarcophagus. This is a clay red color on the top. Look at all those spikes along the top of its body. And along the bottom is a dark green color. But I love the detail of all those spikes along its back. It really gives it a strong texture. That's really cool. And the tail, of course, controls the head, so you can move the head around. Right back here, we've got a winged dinosaur. I'm sure you recognize this from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Quetzalcoatlus, and it has two action buttons. The first on the top flaps its wings, and there's actually one on the bottom that controls the mouth. Oh, here's a dinosaur you don't see too much of. This is a Ceratosaurus. This dinosaur is gray with splotches of dark brown, and of course the red back and the super bright red face with the white horn on the very top. This dinosaur has an action button on its back that controls its jaw, and the rest of its body is fully adjustable. Right back here is another sarcophagus, but this one has totally different coloring. It's got the blue bottom, the dark purple top, same spines though, and then it's got orange and red splotches all over its back. That is super cool. Here is another unusual predator. This is the Mechagodzilla. This dinosaur is pretty brightly colored. Although it's mostly green in the back, it has those bright yellow coloring right along its back and that bright blue color right on its neck and on its head. And this figure has quite a lot of sound effects, as you can hear. The tail also moves the head around so you can make it look super realistic. All right. This is another super noisy dinosaur. This is the Cryolophosaurus. This figure is dark blue around most of its body, and it's got the orange head and neck as well. I love that accent. And with this tail, you can adjust the head and wiggle it around. How cool is that? All right, here is a full-sized Allosaurus. I love the coloring on this dinosaur. It's got the tan yellow bottom and the bright blue top. That is so cool. I think we've actually got two Allosauruses here, both with different coloring. So let's check this one out first. This one has two action buttons on the top. The first controls its jaw, and the second button controls its arms. How cool is that? The legs are fully adjustable, and the tail you can twist as well. The second Allosaurus is mostly gray with the yellow splotches all along the top of its body. And this has one action button on its back where you press it and it controls the jaw. Right over here, we've got a brightly colored Suchomimus. This is a bright yellow with brown along its spine. And this dinosaur has a few action buttons. The first controls its neck and jaw, and the second controls its tail. Plus, the rest of the figure is fully adjustable as well. Oh, here's actually a second Suchomimus with totally different coloring. This one is mostly blue along the entire body, but it's got the yellow detailing along its spine as well as those splotches. And this Suchomimus has one action on its back. When you press it down, it does a chomping action. All right, here's another Baryonyx with different coloring. This Baryonyx is light brown on the sides and the belly, and on the top has a dark blue coloring all along its back to the tail and to the head. But the coolest part of the coloring is this super reflective blue coloring right on its head. This Baryonyx is fully adjustable, and it has one action button for its jaw. Here is another Cryolophosaurus. This one is differently colored than the last one that we saw. It's mostly yellow with the brown on the top and of course the bright orange crown on its head. This dinosaur is fully adjustable. You can move the tail to adjust the head. And of course, as you can hear, it comes with tons of sound effects. Here is another Metriacanthosaurus. But once again, different coloring than the last one we saw. This one is a bright red color with brown detailing all along its back. And on the head, you can see that it's got that bright orange and yellow coloring. There is one action button on this dinosaur, and that controls the jaw. Up next, we've got another Carcharodontosaurus. Check out the coloring on this one. This is a bright blue coloring, and it's got the brown and orange specks on its back and neck, and right around its eye as well. This dinosaur is fully adjustable with legs, arms, and tail, and there's one action button on its back that when you press, it does a chomping action. All right. We've got another Baryonyx right here. This one is bright green with brown on the top. And as usual, the arms and legs are fully adjustable, and there is one action button on the top that controls its jaw. All right, check this one out. I remember this from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is a Dimetrodon. And look at that huge spine on its back. It's red with yellow speckles all over it. And with this dinosaur figure, when you wiggle the tail back and forth, it opens and closes its jaw. All right, I see a ton of velociraptors in here. Let's pull a few out. This velociraptor is a green color with a darker green along the top and is fully adjustable. Even with the mouth, you can open and close. The second velociraptor is different coloring. This is a blue along most of its body. It's got the tan bottom, but the coolest part of all, it's got the yellow along the top and a shining gold along its head. It's actually reflective, which is super cool. And this velociraptor is mostly tan. You can see it along the bottom and the sides with the brown top. But most importantly, this velociraptor has a slashing action. It is spring-loaded, so you can actually twist its torso back and forth, and it'll do this slashing action. All right over here, we've got a baby T-Rex with a jaw-chomping action, brightly green colored, and fully adjustable. And this is a Dilophosaurus. It is mostly gray colored with darker gray along the top, but this Dilophosaurus actually has an action. When you move the tail, it activates its frills. That's so cool. We've still got more velociraptors in here. Let's check them out. Here are 4 velociraptors. The first is an orangish velociraptor, and it has the slashing action. The next velociraptor is a bright red color with green striping on the top. Look at how bright this velociraptor is, and it is fully adjustable. The next velociraptor is a classic one. This is blue, and it comes with battle damage on the side as well. And this velociraptor is more of a yellow coloring with brown on the top. This one also comes with battle damage on the side as well. All right, just a few dinosaurs left. This is a Herrerasaurus. It is all green, and it has different shades of green all along its body. And it is fully adjustable with the mouth, the neck, the arms, and the legs. Over here, we've got a weird-looking dinosaur. This is the Shringosaurus. Look at those huge horns on its head, and the brown coloring on the top, and the yellow on the sides. This is quite the odd-looking dinosaur. At least I think so. And our last 2 dinosaurs of this collection. First, we've got the Great Dimorphodon. This is mostly a gray color with a dark red along the bottom of its wings, but it's still fully adjustable with its legs, its mouth, its neck, and its wings. And this velociraptor is a dark gray color with yellow detailing right along the top of it, and is fully adjustable as well.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.